Well, hello everybody. Happy 2024. Woo! This is our first speaker series for 2024 for IO for Teens. I am a Dr. Marla J. Albertie. I just defended. Yay. And I have my wonderful guest with me today, Dr. Sevelyn Crosby. Say hello to everybody, Sevelyn.
Hello, so happy to be here.
So we are super excited to kick off the year with our new speaker series for IO for Teens. We're bringing you, again, more information of what IO psychology is, how can we implement it, why is it important, not only for adults, but for teenagers and children to understand the principles of IO psychology. And Sevelyn's going to talk to us about that. But before we jump in with questions, I'm going to read her bio to you because she's pretty darn impressive. Sevelyn Crosby has her PhD in positive organizational psychology from Claremont Graduate University. She is driven to leave a positive impact on the world and does so at Blue Shield of California as a senior manager, people strategy, by developing and engaging talent at all levels. She can talk about that. Previously, she was an organizational development consultant, helping companies improve their organizational effectiveness through evidence-based interventions. She worked across several industries such as medical, technology, utility, and of course, higher education. Sevelyn is passionate about teaching people of all ages about organizational psychology and published her children's book in 2020. We're going to talk about that book. My Mommy, yes, there it is. My Mommy is an organizational psychologist. And I read through the book. I read the book. It's awesome. With the help of Amelia, and we'll talk about a little bit about Amelia as well. With the help of Amelia, she's sold over 300 copies, and we're going to keep selling those books, keep selling them. She attended conferences and hosted over 30 events for the industrial organizational psychology community and has been referenced in PsyOp and Psychology Today articles. Welcome, Sevelyn. This is amazing.
Thank you. So happy to be here today with you.
Yes, and we were supposed to have Amelia on board. Just so really quick, just give us a brief overview of who Amelia is, and she may jump on. If not, it's okay. But give us a brief overview. Give the audience a brief overview of who Amelia is and how
Yes, I think I want to give two shout outs for people who aren't on the call today. One of them is the illustrator, Blake Beckman. So he was my grad school friend. And when I first came up with this idea to write a children's book, he did all the illustrations. I'm just going to quickly show a couple of them.
Awesome.
This was his first time drawing people, you guys. Like, that is so
wow. First time drawing people
was this book.
Wow.
So I want to give a shout out to him.
That's amazing.
And then basically a friend of the friend in the IO community introduced me to Amelia. And Amelia has been like my partner in crime with everything marketing you could possibly think of. Awesome. She has her master's in IO psychology, currently working in the field. And she has just helped me put on all of those events you talked about for other IOs, going to conferences, submitting things to be part of PsyOp and articles. Like, without her, I would not have been able to do all of these amazing things we've done. So shout out to
amazing. Well, shout out to Blake and shout out to Amelia, because yes, he for first time drawing pictures, he did pretty good, and that's awesome.
Pretty good.
To do your artwork, that's amazing. I'm big in the art scene as well.
More like not illustrative, ethereal, I don't know the word for it. He's a painter. And it's like very abstract, and you'll kind of
like visual artist type. Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. So well, shout out to them. So let's dig in, Sevelyn. So tell us a little bit about Sevelyn. I know I read the bio, but people want to hear from you. So tell us a little bit about you, and then we can get into the book here in a second.
Yes. All right. So I was born and raised in California. I do have a husband named David who works as a certified public accountant. So he kind of cares all about the money and financials, and I'm a psychologist. I tend to care more about the people and relationships of things. We don't have children yet, but one day I will definitely read my book to them. We do have a dog. I love being outside and playing sports. I love food, cooking and eating food, traveling. And I really care about IO psychology and the visibility of it. One thing I think is kind of cool is in undergrad, I actually studied child development. And when I left for grad school to study IO psychology, I kind of felt like there was a gap. Like, I missed the child psychology that I knew. And so when I had this opportunity to write this book, it was kind of like the perfect opportunity to blend my two worlds. And I care about education and visibility, and I love the work you're doing with teens in IO. So yeah, very happy to be here.
Oh my gosh. So let's jump right into that, because I like that you said about the gap between child psychology and the IO psychology, because whenever I talk about IO for teens, people are like, "Oh my God, it's like a light bulb goes off."
Yes.
Right? Because when I did the Google search, nothing popped up for teenagers, nothing at all.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this something needs to be done. And I'm only one person, right? So I can't do it all. Right. So we got to partner with people like you and other organizations to
Yes.
help get the word out about IO psychology and why it's important and how it can be implemented, not just the practices, but the actual behavior of it's the behavior of workplace behavioral workplace science. So how can we get this science into their brains so they can
Yes.
excel in the workplace? So tell us about this book, and why is it so important to fill that gap between child psychology and IO psychology?
Yes, absolutely. So the book is about a boy named Walter,
Mhm,
and it's career day at Walter's school, and his mom is the IO psychologist.
mhm, mhm.
And as you go through the book, you could tell he has a little bit of anxiety about career day because he doesn't quite understand what his mom does. So he's a little anxious about her coming and talking to his classmates. And through the story, Lynn, the main character, which is my name is Sevelyn, so that's how I got the character name. She goes and tells stories about the work she does and how she can help other people in the workplace. So that's kind of like the foundation and kind of the story of the book.
Mhm.
But one thing that I really was so important to me of why I wrote this book is I think when we say I'm a psychologist, people immediately assume therapist.
Yep.
While that does quite dominate the field, there are so many other professions you can have when
Yes.
thinking about psychology.
Mhm,
IO psychology being one of them.
mhm.
So yeah, I just felt like I wanted to break the stereotype, start teaching people of all ages, especially like the young generation, about career opportunities they might have. And in the book, I feel like a kind of takeaway of that is explore multiple careers, find out what's best for you, pursuing your passions. Because one of the main characters is an elderly man, and
Mhm.
he wants to really pass on his knowledge of being a pianist and musical composing. And so it's all about like coaching and development and teaching the next generation about
Mhm. Oh my gosh. So I say this every one of these shows that I do, I can talk about this stuff all day long. So this is only a
that.
20-minute, 30-minute show or so. But I love that. I love that. So kind of piggybacking off of what you said about helping and teaching, because the character, he was nervous, right? He's like, I don't know what she does. How am
Yes.
I going to go to school and talk about it? So
Yeah.
I love that. And that is something that people are still learning about IO psychology. So
Mhm.
when a person picks up this book, so let's say it's in the bookstore or a local, or you go to a vending, what is your elevator speech? What do you say to get people to say, okay, I'm gonna buy this book for my child? What do you say?
Well, often I'll kind of flip it on them. Like, how would you simplistically explain IO psychology to a child? And a lot
Mm,
of the
okay.
time, even as an
Yeah.
IO psychologist, we can struggle to explain to an adult. So
Hmm.
sometimes I think, how would I do it without using jargon, without
Hmm.
using all of our technical terminology, like
Hmm.
behavioral anchor rating scales during
Yeah.
interviews? We're not going to use that with the child.
Right.
So I think the
Right.
takeaway is storytelling, pictures, images.
Hmm.
I think that usually helps sell them. And in fact, that's why I got the idea to write the book. I attended an after school program for my sister,
Okay.
and she had a group of 7-year-olds, and she asked me to talk to them about what I do for work.
Hmm.
I didn't do it. It's like, Carmen, I can't think of how I would explain to 7-year-olds.
Wow.
And that bothered me for months. And I thought about it. Okay, how would I actually go about this? And
Mhm.
that's actually what inspired me to write the book in the first place.
Wow. Wow. That is, you know what, audience and kids out there listening, parents, that is true entrepreneurship, right?
Oh,
Find a
thanks.
problem, right? You find the problem and you see that there's something out there and you're like, you know what? I can't find what I'm looking for. So I'm just going to create this. I'm going to create the solution to the problem that I have.
Yes.
That's what you
And Amelia and I wrote an article in collaboration with a lot of other people about using design thinking as an
did. Yes.
approach when you're creating a new product or
Yes.
a business of some kind. And that's exactly right. Identify a problem, come up with a solution, iterate on the solution with who you think the key audience is or the people that will buy your product, and
Mhm.
then push it forward. So
Oh,
yeah, kind of use
thank
that
you
same
so
mindset.
much. Thank you so much for breaking that down. And for those out there who don't know what design thinking is, and please, Sevelyn, feel free to jump in. But design thinking is having the customer in mind.
Yes.
What do they want? And then designing a product or an approach or a sales tactic or whatever marketing tactic around what that particular client or what that customer looks for. Anything to add to that to kind of give them a little bit more context?
I think the only other thing I would add is it is so iterative. Like the first idea or first
Yep.
prototype of it is not going to be the final. And
Nope.
that's why you have to get the feedback from the customer in mind,
Mhm. Mhm.
and be willing to kind of like go about it in phases, like agile mindset.
Yep, exactly, exactly. So you guys, you hear all these keywords: IO psychology, school, learning, agile. So this is what we're trying to get out into the community. So I do have a question on here that I wanted to ask, but we're kind of just going, it's a flow
Yeah,
conversation.
go for it.
We talked about before, we talked about when me and you were talking, we talked about raising emotionally intelligent children. So because IQ is good, right? That's good. That talks about how smart you are, but your EQ, your
Mhm.
emotional intelligence, is key. And I always speak about that. Spoke about this last night actually. Uh, Self-awareness is the first key to that. So how can this book, and obviously you and I both know IO psychology has 25, 26 specialization areas, right? So that can fit in any one of them. But how does this book help with raising an emotionally intelligent child and helping them to see their own self-awareness so they can move on to the next level of uh, emotional intelligence?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I actually think one of the first times I had an aha moment of IQ versus EQ,
Yeah.
when I was studying child development, I went to Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, and we had these labs
Mm-hmm.
where the children were professors' kids, and we would actually try things with them, projects, introduce
Mm-hmm.
new learning concepts.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the teachers in that classroom basically told me the point of they were pre-K. The point of pre-K is not, did you learn your 1, 2, 3s? Did you memorize ABCs? It's about how do you react when you're angry?
Mm.
How do you talk to someone when you're
Right.
confused? And she
Yes.
was talking about emotional intelligence there and how
Yes.
that's actually foundational to them being able to successfully enter a school system.
Yes. Yes. Oh
So
my
yeah,
God.
I just have always been like outstanded by that. And I think that in the children's book, one of the things that was really important to me was like diversity of children, diversity of background,
Yes.
diversity of thought. And I
Yep.
think you have to first understand yourself to then
Mm-hmm.
be able to understand another person. And
Mm-hmm.
that two-way communication is everything. So yeah, I've just like, I feel like that was the first aha moment I ever had about how foundational EQ really is.
Mm-hmm. It is. It is. And we can talk about, that's a whole nother podcast, right? That's a whole nother show, right? But we can talk about it all night long. But yeah, you're right. Emotional intelligence is so key. And really it's about just containing, because we're emotional beings, right? And we're teaching children that, we're teaching teenagers that, you know, example, we have for one of the classifications, we have don't get caught up. Well, that's about the HR legal stuff and all that. But we're not talking about HR legal law. We're not talking
Yeah.
about that. We're talking to them about how their social media profile should look, right?
Yeah.
And what picture they should have on what is your social media hand? What is your profile name? And stuff like that. They're saying, okay, uh, maybe TikTok or maybe uh shoot 'em up, bang bang, 1 2 3 is not a good profile name to have. That maybe I
Yeah.
just think about emotionally, what does that do for me? Right. So we're teaching them that way. You got to come in a different angle, and they're really getting it. They're like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
right, maybe that does make a little sense. Right.
Yeah.
So I
Well,
love
like,
it.
shout out to Amelia for all of that because she pretty much is the one that handles all of our social media. She
Yeah.
tries to make sure like our posts are cohesive,
Yeah.
inclusive,
Yeah.
informative. So yeah, how you present yourself to the external world is everything. Uh,
Yes.
and when I was a college professor, one of the school assignments I had was basically having them do informational interviews with someone they thought of a
Mm-hmm.
career that they might. And
Mm-hmm.
I also asked, like, Google their name, what
Yeah.
comes up?
Yep. We
Because
talked about
that
that.
can
Yeah.
prevent you from getting a career you want
Yeah.
or making the wrong impression. So I
Yeah.
definitely say Google your name and see what comes up and if
That's
people
awesome.
would judge you positively or negatively for it.
Oh my gosh, we talked about that. We actually have a session where they did that, and
Yes.
I had them to reflect on it. Like I didn't have them give answers or whatever. Just reflect on it and keep doing. This is something you keep doing. Even us as adults, we need to keep Googling our name, you know? But
Yes.
so again, that all goes back to that self-awareness. So what's next for Sevelyn, Amelia, Blake in this book? What's next? What's the next step?
Good question. So I think we're feeling really we want to continue doing some of the work we already do. So
Mhm.
some of the work that I know we want to continue is we love supporting our own IO community. So
Yes.
every year we hold a couple virtual events to bring people together. Sometimes that's webinars, sometimes that's social networking, kind of just depends on who we're partnering with. We've
Mhm.
had amazing collaborations with other IO groups, like
Yes.
Latinos in IO, Blacks in IO, Asians in IO.
Mm-hmm.
We've
Mm-hmm.
been part of podcasts like Department 12, Worker Being. Shout out to Brando and Joe, who are one of the new ones that we did last year.
Okay.
I just feel like the partnership and working with the IO community, we do not want to stop. We absolutely love it.
Yes, I love it. I
Some
love it. I love it.
new ideas we have, and I don't know which one we're going to put in the effort for first, is
Yeah.
we love the idea of translating our book in other languages.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
So I'll give you this link, but we made a really cool TikTok video a couple years ago where we had IOs in one sentence in other languages besides English say what they do as an IO psychologist.
Okay.
So they talked in German, Arabic,
Mm-hmm.
Cantonese, Spanish, French,
Oh,
etc. And that
okay.
kind of gave me a cool idea of like maybe we should translate the book.
Yeah, no, definitely, definitely. I know it's something I've thought about for my books, eventually. But no, definitely. So basically have that, drop that link so we'll have that in the show notes.
Yeah, I'll add that.
Oh my
Um,
gosh, this has been amazing. I'm excited to get to watch them one, watch that video. But
yes.
number two, we love going through and doing a lightning round before we wrap up. So
Okay.
Seven's gonna tell us all her stuff, but we'll have all this information and the links and everything. But before we wrap up, we have some quick lightning round questions we want to ask because people like to know. People are nosy by nature.
All
We
right.
like to know about people, right? So what book are you reading right now?
Okay, so I'm gonna admit it. I love Harry Potter, just like the fantasy of it. I love,
Yeah.
and actually, one of my school projects when I was in grad school for IO psychology was we had to pick a movie and
Mm-hmm.
take it and diagnose some like IO psychology concepts. And I chose
Mm.
one of the Harry Potter movies. So
Oh
I'm
my God, that
rereading
is
Harry
a
Potter.
wonderful assignment. That's a wonderful.
Yeah,
I
I
might
was like,
steal
maybe
that.
we should get that in your curriculum.
I might steal that assignment and put that in one and put that in the curriculum. That's really good.
Yeah.
Okay. What's your favorite vacation spot?
So last year, my husband and I got married and we went to Switzerland and Croatia.
Nice.
So I would say just they're very different, but I love the Alps and we love the beach. So just
Yeah.
that trip specifically was amazing.
Nice. I've heard beautiful things about both locations. So what is your favorite piece of research or any type of research article you may have read or theory or anything like that?
So I come from the perspective the best research is me search. So like whatever research you want to investigate more to learn even more about yourself, you're probably going to have that natural energy to invest in it.
Mm,
So for me, I love proactive behavior. Like
mm,
I love like what type of environment fosters someone to act proactively or take the initiative to do something.
mm-hmm.
Is there a leader dynamic? Is it something in knowledge or skill set? Like that to me is like what can help someone be more proactive or what hinders someone? That's my favorite.
I love that. Oh, we again, we could talk about this stuff all day long. And so next question, what are your hobbies? What do you like to do outside of work?
Okay, so definitely travel. We
Mhm.
definitely love food.
Mhm.
And then sports. So I play on an intramural softball team.
Okay.
Everybody loves pickleball right now. We
Yes,
bought
I gotta
pickleball
learn. I want to
rackets.
learn.
And I recently been learning golf. A whole bunch of my friends in the area have been teaching me how to play golf, and that is a really hard sport, but
Yeah,
and
it is
expensive, but I'm interested in
a
it.
mental sport. My dad played it for years, and he
It
still
is a
watches it.
mental.
Yeah, it's a mental sport, and it's an individual sport too. One of the
Yeah.
few individual sports out there, and so yeah, it's definitely mental tech, mind boggling. And the last question is, I know you mentioned you work full time as an IO psychologist. Um,
Yes.
tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I've been working for 3 years at Blue Shield of California
Mhm.
as the senior manager of talent strategy. And so, what talent strategy means is you think about the employee life cycle.
Mhm.
They
Mhm.
enter the workforce, meaning we had to attract them in some way. We
Mhm.
hired them, we
Mhm.
developed them, we might
Mhm.
mobilize them, which could mean promotion or just changing places in the company. And
Yep.
sometimes we exit them. So it's all about the strategy at each step of the life cycle. How do we retain our top talent?
Okay, I love it. Well, guys, you have heard everything about Sevelyn. Well, maybe not everything, but a lot about Sevelyn and Dr. Crosby, what she has done. This is amazing. Please, Sevelyn, how can our audience and anyone else listening to this, how can they find you?
I will definitely give you the link for our website, which is just my mommy's and organizational psychologist.com. On there, we have a whole bunch of cool videos. So we've recorded all of our webinars for the IO community. So if you go onto one of the tabs, you can actually rewatch some of them and learn.
Okay.
Some of them include things like visibility in the field, DEI efforts, how to apply for grad school, which I know if you're a teenager right now, you might be thinking, how do I apply for college? But I'm sure there's some lessons learned.
Right.
Yeah. And we also have our Instagram, LinkedIn, and we're always trying to host events. So come to one of them. They're usually virtual.
Okay, awesome. And that's a great, I was going to say it's important to say virtual because we're not expecting people to fly to California. Now, if you want, that's great, but virtual. Well, again, we're going to have all these links at the bottom. And of course, our links, IO for Teens, follow us, the website, definitely check us out, see what we're doing, see what's out there. We're going to have more of these speaker series so we can bring in more experts in the field because we want to continue to collaborate and help you understand the value of IO psychology, why it's needed, and why we got to help our children and our teens. Because guess what? As I always say, they're the ones that's going to be leading the country, right? I'm going to be on a cruise ship somewhere, chilling. So I'm not going to be, I'm not going to work till I'm 99, right? I mean, I'm gonna be 99, but I'm not going to work till I'm 99, right? So
we'll still be out and about doing
we'll
stuff.
still be out and about living life, but they'll be running the country, and they'll have these tools. They're like, you know what? I learned this from my mom's organization psychology. They'll remember that book. They'll remember IO for Teens. So help us spread this word. Guys, thank you so much. Thank you, Sevelyn. This has been amazing. And until next time, guys. Bye-bye.
Thanks for having me. Bye.